My problem with the police is that they are killing people. Police are taking laws that are meant to protect us and manipulating them, twisting them, contorting them, using them as excuses for horrible, horrible acts, brutality against the American people. Many people have told me that the police only care about what pretty white girls want. That does seem to be very true. But there are people that they care about even more than pretty white girls, and that would be the rich. Many people want to believe that every officer out there is a Boy Scout, a saint, or an angel. They're not. There's a movie called The Departed. In it, Leonardo DiCaprio's character says that people join the police because they want to shoot someone. We've got officers like Waylon Lolatai who go further than that. Sure, he probably does want to shoot somebody. Hell, Officer French of the Boulder Police Department bragged that he wanted to shoot somebody. How is Waylon Lolatai worse than that? I'll tell you. He gets off on inflicting pain on the innocent. On his Instagram account, he shows how proud he is of ignoring the laws and harming the innocent. God bless America, right? I keep hearing that. God bless America. God bless America. Well, not with police like what we got. We are not blessed with good law enforcement. One of the ladies I spoke with on my YouTube channel, her name is Terry Jepson, and she speaks about one of the corrupt sheriffs we had here in Chapel, Nebraska. Matter of fact, there are 3 or 4 people on my YouTube channel that speak about Jim Hayes, how he helped to cover up a murder. After he left Chapel, Nebraska, he went to prison. These guys are a gang. You may have a decent guy working for the police department, but if he's working for a corrupt sheriff or a corrupt police chief, he is corrupt. His options are limited. He has to do what he's told, or fear the consequences of standing up to these people. I am living the consequences of standing up to these people. Every day, I live the consequences of standing up to the people who victimize me and mine for a living. Why do I stand up to them? Because it's the only thing with a possibility of changing things. Between Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, Malcolm X was a lot more productive. He believed that if the police are killing your people, that you have a right to arm yourself and defend yourself and your life and your family's life. Now, both Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X were assassinated for rights that people who are called mentally ill don't have, for rights that the homeless don't have. Meanwhile, are they not Americans? Does a disabled person deserve to be treated like cattle or sheep because they're disabled? Should people who are different be abused and neglected just because they're different? We are all different, all of us. Just because somebody is autistic doesn't make them a monster. Just because somebody has Down syndrome doesn't make them retarded. Just because someone has a badge does not make them invincible. What I have been dealing with since before Natalie was killed is police officers not caring about my rights because I'm not a pretty rich white girl. That's basically what it comes down to. The situation with the Dual County Sheriff's Department, me going to them on multiple occasions about Robert Warnick, what did they ever do about it? They pretended. Now they had a lot of months, 7 of them, to go through my evidence and destroy anything that was incriminating against them. I guarantee you it took every bit of that time, and I guarantee you they didn't find everything. That's right, it puts a smile on my face to know that. They had to keep me locked up for the first half of this year so that they could destroy body camera evidence that they had. They had to break the law in order to hide the fact that they broke the law. I'm dealing with a lot right now. I'm dealing with the fact that I'm disabled and all of my disability money goes to paying my predators for harming me. Robert Warnick committed a felony when he got into his vehicle and chased down a person who is disabled, who was on foot. Robert Warnick pulled his vehicle out in front of me in January of this year, got out of his vehicle, claimed that he was just joking when he threatened my life, and then he broke the phone that I had in my hand. He smacked me in the hand, sending my phone flying and breaking my phone, of course. And then he pushed me at least once. When I tried to turn him in, although I'd gone to Dual County Sheriff's Department about this man repeatedly before, and actually sat down with Sean Holloway. Laura Nelson was there and present for that situation. Sean Holloway did nothing. Then in January of this year, I had to go to Sean Holloway, and again, he did nothing. He had me arrested to prevent me from turning in my predators. That includes his co-workers and his boss. And of course, Sean Holloway himself. Sure, Sean Holloway might be a decent person in another world. We don't live in another world, do we? We live on planet Earth in the year 2021. We don't live in another dimension. We don't live in another galaxy or another solar system. This is where we are. And you can dream of going somewhere else all you want. But the fact is, you eventually have to stop and make a stand. Or take it for the rest of your life. And some of you are lucky. Some of you are lucky enough to never have to go through it. I've had a lot of pretty women tell me how much it sucks to be pretty and a female. I've also had those very same females admit to me that they have used that to their advantage, used that to get what they want, used that to manipulate people. Some of them manipulated it even to the point of people being harmed. Here in the United States, we have taught the women in this country, starting at a very young age, to be predators. Not all predators are physical. Although most of the assaults I've seen between men and women started with women beating on a man. If that man defends himself, he's the one who gets locked up. If he just takes it, then people say, ha ha, you got beaten up by a girl. Ha ha, you got beaten up by a girl. There's just no way to win if you have a penis. You just have to take it. When a pretty white girl wants to harm you, you just have to take it. Just like with the police, you just have to take it. But how true is that really? Do you have the ability to stand up to them? Are you too afraid? There's a lot of people who tell me that they're good people. They don't understand why these things are happening to them. I do. And they absolutely do too. These things are happening to them because they are cowards who do not work together. Me personally, I prefer Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s way of doing things. But his methods did not work. That is a fact. Malcolm X, on the other hand, who was born here in Nebraska. That's right. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska in 1925. It's nearly 100 years ago now. Nearly 100 years ago. Imagine that. The police and the United States government are afraid of an armed populace for a reason. There is also the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is there because our government and our police are supposed to be afraid of us. They are supposed to fear the actions that they commit against the public. They are supposed to fear what will happen to them if they shoot disabled people who are unarmed. Now, one thing that I have proven, and many other people have proven through all of this, is that police brutality is the rule rather than the exception. In many of my situations, the police did everything that they could to prevent their body cameras from being admitted into evidence. They thought if they held me long enough that I would plead guilty. They fucked up big, didn't they? And still, despite the fact that I know that in this world that we live in, Malcolm X's methods are the useful ones, I still fight hard to do things like Dr. King. Sorry if I'm pausing a lot. I'm going for a walk, venting off some steam, breathing a little heavier than usual. The fact is, my predators, after doing the horrible things that they did, that law enforcement didn't want to look at, those people played victim, cried wolf. It's a common tactic. You back someone into a corner and poke them with a stick over and over and over again, and when they grab the stick from you, you talk about how horrible they are. Or you go in as a group, and you all beat him down with a stick. And when he defends himself, you pretend like he attacked you. Really? Really? One man is going to attack you 6-on-1. One man is going to back himself into a corner. Is that what you're saying? You want to say that those bruises and those broken bones, you're going to say that man did that all to himself? Things change when we make them change. If you don't go out into the field and tend your crops, you don't end up with any crops. If you let the wolves eat all of your sheep, the wolves get fat while you starve. We got a lot of people pretending that this is a black problem. It's not. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. addressed that. And believe it or not, so did Malcolm X. The disabled are killed at over twice the rate of black people. And then there's the homeless, who were killed at over 250 times what black people are. You got to take a look at their populace. Black people in 2019 accounted for about 60 million people. The homeless only accounted for 500,000. That's 1/120th the population of black folks. It's also only 1/120th the population of disabled people. Yet the homeless accounted for 49% of those killed by police in 2019. Just 1 point shy of half of those killed by police in 2019, and you all make the same excuses. Oh, they were probably mentally ill. They were probably mentally ill. You don't mean mentally ill, you mean schizophrenic and psychopathic. When you hear the word mentally ill, that's a blanket excuse for murder. It's a sick joke. Did you know that most of us who are called mentally ill are far less likely to get violent than the average American? But you don't want to hear that because it doesn't fit your hate. So you go to the Bible, because no matter what, you can twist something in there to hate the people that you hate. You got no idea how many of the worst officers that I had to deal with wanted to pretend they believed in God. That's disgusting. Now, what we need is body cameras. We need them to be required, not just on police out on the beat, but also local sheriffs. They need to be required to have them on. And their victims need to be allowed access to those body cameras. The rules that allow them to lock somebody up without even allowing that person to enter a plea, those need to be changed. I was in prison for being charged with misdemeanors, and I hadn't even been allowed to enter a plea on these things. Meanwhile, the registered sex offender who threatened my life on multiple occasions and then also ultimately assaulted me, well, he gets away scot-free, don't he? If he had been arrested for the crime that he committed, would they have treated him the way they treated me? Would they have arrested him and then prevented him from making a police report? It's a good question. I'm not the only one who recorded the situation between me and Sean Holloway just prior to his BS having me locked up. Pastor Rod Wright here in Chapel, Nebraska also recorded the situation. There's a lot of my phones that were stolen. But there are a lot of people who have evidence between me and them on their phones. Those phones could be requisitioned by the courts. Someone could do something about it. But will they? That's where we come full circle back around to good people. There are no good people when these supposedly good people are all cowards. When they will watch the Nazis take their neighbors because their neighbors are communist or socialist or Jewish or black. These are not good people. These are cowards. Every one of them. Many of these people were cowardly because they'd screwed up in the past. And between repenting and sinning more to hide their sins, they decided to sin more and then talk about their obviously non-existent Jesus. They want to pretend to be Christians on Sunday, but they don't even show Christianity on Sunday. I should say supposed Christianity. Because I look at Christianity the same way as I see Nazism. Sure, maybe 1 in 400 of those Nazis was a good, decent human being who was trying to save the lives of Jewish people during the Holocaust. Or maybe trying to save the lives of black people or disabled people. Maybe. You know, according to a lot of the books written about Nazis by actual Nazis, many of them try to pretend like they're good people in their writings. Like they were doing what Jesus wanted. How insane is that? When it all comes down to it, they weren't doing what Jesus did. They were making excuses to do horrible things to innocent human beings. This is not okay. When I look at the Christian community, I see the same thing. If 1 in 400 of you is doing what the good book says, well, then Christians aren't good people. Only you are. If you are that 1 in 400 people who is a decent person, then you are alone in that category. You may want to believe the best in everyone that you go to church with, but you are the best. You are the decent one. And I'm not calling you Jesus when I say this, but you are the Savior. You are the one who protects the Jews in Nazi Germany. You are the one who protects the disabled in modern America. You. Not the 400 people in your congregation. You and you alone. Of course, if you are really that decent person, you're probably already behind bars.